Standing in front of the Roosevelt Hotel, where most of the migrants are living right now, Mayor Eric Adams also announced that because of the migrant crisis, he'll be cutting the city's education budget as well. They'll cut that budget by $1 billion. Joining me right now is New York Congresswoman Claudia Tenney. Congresswoman, good to see you this morning. You're right there in New York. I want to get your take on all these cuts coming to New York as the city is forced to allocate more money to the migrants.
You know, this is absolutely astounding that he said we have tough decisions to make. The tough decision is you've got to put together a plan to deport these people with false asylum claims. We cannot continue to burden the taxpayers of New York. It doesn't just affect New York City. It affects upstate New York, where I am. The tough decision is figuring out a way to take these people safely back to the border, put pressure on Joe Biden, Alejandro Mayorkas, the administration, the Democrats in Albany, everyone who is prioritizing these immigrants who have false asylum claims over the American taxpayers, and especially the New York taxpayers. As you know, Maria, we pay among, if not the highest taxes in the nation. This is just astounding. And we have this amazing, enormous budget. New York State spends so much money and taxes people so much. Kathy Hochul, our governor, added $1 billion in the budget for this fiscal year coming up just to accommodate migrants. And guess what you get? More migrants, more drain on our fiscal sanity, more people having to give up what they've spent, more taxes. And now you're seeing the crime problem. So where do we go? We're going to cut the police. These people are lawless. They let them they get to bypass our laws. They don't actually have to live up to the responsibilities of citizenship, but they get all the benefits of citizenship. This is a reverse order of what we should be doing as a country. We need to stand up for the rule of law. We need to protect our police. We actually need to have more police. I was amazed when Jerry just said we have less recruits. We're cutting the cadet program. We can't find people that we can recruit to work in our police departments because of the defund and demoralized police movement. You saw what that had to do. We have massive crime in New York, and it's not just New York City. It's upstate because the Democrats in Albany made these statewide issues. And something that went very quietly yesterday, Kathy Hochul signed another pro-criminal bill, the clean slate bill, which will wipe out anybody's criminal record, so we can't even hold these people accountable after they've already committed crimes. It's really astounding.
Exactly right. I've actually got this in my hand, and it's the Clean Slate Act, giving people with a criminal past a clear record. Just clear it out. Clear record. Members of state, county, and local government and local law enforcement agencies plan to gather at Suffolk Police Benevolent Association headquarters today to discuss the impact of this, because she just wants to wipe away the slate for rapists. But I want to get back to all of the money going to these migrants at this point, because you're having to cut police forces at a time that crime is spiking. Your colleagues in the House tried to hold Alejandro Mayorkas accountable, and yet some of your colleagues would not go forward with an impeachment. Why?
I think some of these people, I voted for the impeachment. I went through the language. Some objected to the language. It was a bill by Marjorie Taylor Greene. I thought there were a lot of good provisions in it. And I know that they are already pursuing this impeachment inquiry and looking into Mayorkas. I think she wants more action. But again, part of the problem is the Biden administration is dragging its feet, refuses to respond to subpoenas. But Maria, we have to be ferocious. We have got to be constantly going after these people and the Biden administration for equal justice under the law. We see this constant disparaging enforcement of our laws, whether it's President Trump versus President Biden. I mean, here we have President Biden. We're going to just forget about the fact that he's violated classified documents. We didn't raid his house. We didn't raid Hillary Clinton's house. And we had James Comey come out famously in 2016. And what did he say? No reasonable prosecutor will bring this case. Well, why are we bringing cases against President Trump? Why are we, maliciously prosecuting people like Letitia James, going after the Trump family and everybody else? My good friend, the county executive in Rensselaer County, who, by the way, was acquitted by a jury in a split-second timing because of this abusive process. But again, the Republicans have to get tough. We have to throw everything at them. They throw everything at us, including the kitchen sink. We need to do the same back. We need to be extremely aggressive and very ferocious, I hate to say.
You're right. It's all in plain sight. The special counsel investigating President Biden's classified documents from his time as senator and vice president, the special counsel claims he's not expected to bring charges against him. Instead, Robert Hur will release a report, he claims, which will criticize how Biden handled the classified documents. Meanwhile, President Trump is facing 40 charges for the same thing. Florida Congressman Byron Donalds posted this online. Meanwhile, Trump faces up to 450 years in prison for holding on to documents less than a year after he left the White House. This is an unequal application of the law. Dismiss the case against Trump immediately, writes Byron Donalds. The former president is facing a total of 40 counts, a possible $10 million fine for possessing classified documents. This double standard is not just facing Donald Trump. In June, retired Air Force officer Robert Bertram was sentenced to 3 years in prison because he kept classified documents at his home, Congresswoman. But no glove is being left on Joe Biden. He's fine. No charges will be brought. And you've got all of this dereliction of duty and 2 applications of the law in plain sight. You're an elected official. Can you do anything about it?
We have to take back the White House. We can do everything we can to actually go after these people. Like we can do subpoenas, we can hold hearings, but we can't actually prosecute. And that's one of the problems. When the Biden administration drags their feet, we can't get the evidence out. And it's just so obvious to the American people that they're trying to stop President Trump, who's leading in all the polls. It's very obvious. Look, I, as a lawyer, can send a letter to the Bar Association, the First Department, and make an ethics complaint against Letitia James for malicious prosecution. We can do those things at the state level. On the federal level, we can also do something, but she's running this in state court. I mean, those are the things that we should be looking into. Where do we get someone to react? Or do you think the First Department, run by a bunch of liberal Democrats in New York State, are even going to look at my complaint? They dismiss other lawyers for even less, for not charging them. But we have a problem with our credibility as a country because of the justice system. And this isn't anything new, but we need to stand up every single day as a Republican conference. And the thing that disheartens me most, Maria, we need to stick together. We need to all stick together. Yeah. Everybody's got, a nuance of something they don't like. We should all stick together. And even when you bring and look at, I appreciate Marjorie trying to be aggressive. Let's all sit together and talk about this in a conference. That's what provides power to us. That's what causes the Senate, controlled by Chuck Schumer, to pause. When we are together, we're a force. That will cause the Biden administration to actually react to us, and the American people will have more credibility, give us more credibility, and appreciate us.
Especially when you have an environment where you've got one side running the law enforcement infrastructure. I mean, the House Oversight Committee has revealed that they are still waiting for the National Archives to turn over more than 82,000 pages of Biden pseudonym emails. He used different names in these emails when he was apparently doing business deals with Hunter. They released this graphic. It shows they have only received 14 pages of the Biden pseudonym emails, Congresswoman. So he's over here doing emails with Hunter Biden under all these different names. The National Archives won't even release it to the House Oversight Committee. And then we're getting this news from the special counsel that Biden's in the clear, no charges there. So, Congresswoman, you got 2 systems of justice because one side is running justice.
Yeah, Maria, it's astounding, but so many American people don't even know it. You're covering it, and other responsible journalists are doing their job as the fourth estate to make sure the American people know what's going on. But so many aren't covering it. It is in plain sight. I've been saying this for years. It's all there. It's totally corrupt, and people either believe it or they don't. I mean, it's just, it's astounding, but I think we need to continue to be very aggressive, and I appreciate your advocacy on all of these issues.
Thanks very much, Congresswoman. It's good to see you. Claudia Tenney, if we don't see you, happy Thanksgiving. We will see you soon, and we'll be right back.